Hi, this is Richard Workman, and my project is about the American Red Cross Continuity of Operations Plan developed for the South Puget Sound chapter, which is located in the city of Tacoma, Washington. The South Puget Sound chapter of the American Red Cross has essential functions and operations that must be performed or rapidly and efficiently resumed in the event of an emergency. While the impact of such an emergency cannot be fully predicted, planning for operations under such conditions can mitigate the impact of the emergency on the chapter's clients, its facilities, and its mission. To that end, the South Puget Sound chapter of the American Red Cross has prepared a continuity of operations plan. The South Puget Sound Continuity of Operations Plan, or COOP, was prepared to develop, implement, and maintain a viable continuity capability in the event of disruptive circumstances or crisis. COOP planning is a good operations practice and is part of the fundamental mission of all non-profit organizations and non-governmental agencies as responsible and reliable public entities. The South Puget Sound chapter has adopted this COOP for the purpose of developing the capabilities to prepare for, respond to, and recover from those emergencies which could disrupt the operations and essential functions of the South Puget Sound chapter. The effectiveness of the overall engagement of the COOP is dependent upon the proficiency and well-being and capabilities of the chapter's staff and the effectiveness of its leadership. The American Red Cross is a humanitarian organization led by volunteers and guided by its congressional charter and the fundamental principle of the International Red Cross movement. Will provide relief to victims of disasters and help people prevent, prepare for, and respond to emergencies. The mission of one chapter is the mission of all chapters. The essential functions provided by the South Puget Sound chapter are continuity of disaster assistance. The primary objective of the South Puget Sound chapter of the American Red Cross is the provision of assistance to those affected persons, communities, and business entities during and after disaster-related incidents have occurred. Continuity of communication and technology. The ability to communicate is critical to daily operations and essential in a crisis. The South Puget Sound chapter is dependent on technology to perform essential functions daily. Continuity of facilities. Primary facilities are the locations where much of essential functions are performed by Puget Sound leadership and staff. The South Puget Sound chapter has identified separate alternate locations that are adequately equipped to ensure execution of essential operational functions. Continuity of blood collection services. Nationally, the American Red Cross collects approximately 40% of the nation's blood supply, making it critical to maintain this function at the local and regional levels. The revenue provides the Red Cross with a sizable portion of its operating funds. During disaster incidents, medical emergencies can exhaust blood inventories, making blood collection an ongoing critical capability. Here we have a list of potential hazards that could affect the essential functions performed by the South Puget Sound chapter of the American Red Cross. The most likely types of incidents that we face here in the Puget Sound area and basically in the 5 counties that we work with are your severe storms. You've got ice storms that'll shut down freeways and communities. You've got heavy rainfall, which will cause flooding in the lowland areas and some of the more destitute neighborhoods. Not so much earthquakes, but we are experiencing more of that, and that's to be expected. Right now, we're experiencing a large amount of wildfires, and this is seasonal, so our abilities are being affected to a degree, and we're also experiencing some drought. Occasionally, we'll experience transportation accidents since we are a massive shipping hub within the Puget Sound area, we have massive freeways, a large amount of ocean-going shipping. We have a lot of trucks and motor vehicles on the road, with tens of thousands of personally owned vehicles and passengers on the road every day. We also experience telecommunication outages, power outages, and water shortages, especially now. While we have had some lone wolf activities as far as terrorism is concerned, we haven't really experienced anything as far as 9/11 level or the Alfred P. Murrah experience in Oklahoma City in 1995. So we haven't had anything of that particular type of incident to disrupt our essential functions. Occasionally we do have software malfunctions and glitches, and there is the occasional disruption of hardware not being able to read software correctly. So we do have that to take into consideration. Recovery time objectives are the measures of the amount of time and level of function after a disaster or disruption occurs that those essential functions must be restored in order to maintain viable operational capability. Recovery point objectives is when files must be recovered before functions or systems will degrade or no longer be able to be provided. Resources necessary for any entity to fulfill its primary capabilities could range from physical assets to trained and specialized personnel. These are the minimum required technical assets needed to maintain and complete vital functions and services provided by the South Puget Sound chapter to its clients and partner agencies and organizations. Resources such as workspaces, places to work in, network personal computers. We work with a lot of data. Shared printers, landlines, internet capability, and vehicles, including cargo vans and trucks. The majority of disaster assistance equipment used during a major disaster is provided by partner organizations and agencies. The American Red Cross does not keep a large inventory of physical assets to use during emergencies or mass care situations. All American Red Cross chapters are responsible for having a clear line of succession in the event leadership becomes incapacitated or unable or incapable of performing its legal and unauthorized duties, roles, and responsibilities. Orders of succession enable an orderly and predefined transition of leadership within the South Puget Sound chapter, with each successive position fulfilling the immediate capacity of upper-level leadership, and for the foreseeable duration of the incident, delegation of authority is transferred to each subordinate level. This statement directs that all decision-making capabilities in all functions rest with the successive management staff member of the South Puget Sound chapter. An essential or vital record is defined as a piece of information that is vital to running essential functions within the operations of the South Puget Sound chapter or any business entity. Databases and physical documents or hard copies need to be backed up and or secured in multiple locations and formats. Vital records for the South Puget Sound chapter include employment records for all paid staff, volunteer management documents, financial records and vendor contracts, utilities and service contracts, training plans, and of course, COOP plans. Testing, training, and exercises are vital to determine the effectiveness of continuity of operations plan development. The South Puget Sound chapter will conduct exercises on a recurring basis. These all-hazard exercises will be coordinated with some or all jurisdictions, regionally and or in conjunction with state or federal agencies. These preparedness activities ensure that personnel are adequately trained to carry out necessary functions in time of emergencies. In addition, such testing will provide a basis for the updating and revision of this COOP and for the identification of inadequate resources. Execution of this continuity of operation plan is the primary responsibility of the Executive Director of the South Puget Sound Chapter. The COOP is implemented based on known or anticipated threats and emergencies that may occur with or without warning. Situations that might provide a warning include local building fires, a transportation accident resulting in a threat of hazardous material, or hazmat, or a threat of a terrorist incident. Some threats could occur without warning and include earthquakes, tsunamis, or an actual terrorist event. Regarding incidents during business hours, execution of the COOP, if indicated by the circumstances of the event, would begin with implementation of building evacuation and safe assembly procedures. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your patience, and thanks for listening.